Well, hey there team, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to Against the Storm. This is the game we're looking at today. Now, not exactly new to the channel, but new to Steam. It's going into early access Steam. It should be pretty much when this video goes up. I've covered this in the past when it was on Epic. Spoiler alert, it's one of my favorite colony builders in sort of current time, you know, contemporaneously, I suppose. And it's not really a colony builder, or at least it has parts of it, but it's also a roguelite, which is such an unusual combination of the genres. The closest I can think of is something like Rogue State Revolution, and that's sort of like a city builder roguelike. Another game I really like for changing things up. Anyway, so this game's really tough. I'm quite bad at it, at least when I played it probably a year ago, and I still love it. So we're going to jump in. I think it's the save file is actually shared with Steam, but it's as simple as just hitting this to reset progress nowadays, which is great. We're just going to jump in. I already did the tutorial the other day.
The world is plagued by the Blight Storm, a vile cycle of destruction ravaging.
So hopefully we can at least skip that.
The only safe haven is the smoldering city where the mysterious scorched queen reigns.
Cool.
You are one of her viceroys, a pioneer sent into the wilds, tasked with establishing new settlements and acquiring valuable resources for the crown.
Right, yep.
Your goal is to help rebuild the smoldering city and secure the future of the queen's subjects.
Fair enough, and that's exactly it. You venture out, you make new colonies, and you sort of have this imposed clock. Can I skip tutorial? Here we go. That's fine. And we've unlocked some defaults. It's all right. I'll teach you a bit as we go along. Again, like I said, I played the tutorial the other day, which was a good refresher, because it's one of those games, I've been dying to boot it up and play it again, but I knew this day was going to come where we were going to cover it on Steam, right? Jesus Christ. Tutorial after tutorial. All said, it took like an hour, I think, to get through all this stuff. Yeah. That's right. Your goal as a viceroy is to help rebuild and secure the future of the city for the Queen's subjects. Yeah, so ultimately you venture out into these hexes, you establish a colony, and it has a doom timer, which is the Queen's impatience with you, which takes, oh, I don't know, not that long, like an hour or two, something like that. We'll have to see. But you are very much up against the clock, which is perfect and kind of integral if you want to do this roguelike escalation within a colony. Cool. So the smoldering city where the queen resides is cool. Look at that. But it also represents your meta upgrades of the roguelite space, right? So we go by upgrades. I suppose we could upgrade this. We've only got 10 food. The Obsidian Archive, is that what this is called? Okay, cool. You gain a permanent minus 2% to the speed at which the Queen's impatience grows. That's good. That's great. Not that we have a lot of choices. So we need to get to level 2, and this has changed many times over its development of how to handle and mete out meta upgrades. But we are now bottlenecked by our personal level, as it were. Now, deeds. What are deeds? This is all new to me. Recommended? Oh, okay. So, track? Oh! Okay, so these are just bloody sort of achievements with unlocks, and then it looks like there'll be dailies that we can unlock as well. Okay, so for the moment, not much we can do. We want to buy new upgrades, and to do that, we need more food. And if you go here, basic currency in the realm. Workers are eager to exchange their labor for food for their families. Can be used to buy upgrades, right? So this is actually very different from food down on the sort of micro level, right? You have different, vegetables and meats and all that in the run, but the meta food upgrade is a different currency. They probably should have chosen a better term, but oh well. The world is governed by the eternal Blight Storm cycle. Yeah, so at its core, you're trying to balance the two seasons that happen quite quickly. It's essentially summer and rain, and Belinda Carlisle eat your heart out, and your dudes get miserable. The Queen's impatience makes their sort of happiness requirement higher and higher. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a bit of an economy. You're trying to complete tasks to fill the sort of XP progress meter before the Queen's impatient meter fills up. So it's a blue versus red sort of thing. And at the same time, you just got to constantly keep your dudes happy because they're in this miserable, rainy, horrible scape. Okay, so let's click this. Cycle summary. The Blightstorm is upon us. Settlements are abandoned and people are returning to Citadel. Yes, okay, sorry. And what this is actually referring to is the meta reset loop that you see in a lot of roguelikes. So we're going to do all these little runs and they're going to earn things, but eventually this will... It's sort of like your Prestige, New Game Plus, that sort of thing. You've seen stuff like this in Other Side. So you're going to end the cycle and it's going to... What's this? It's going to unlock... No, we already unlocked that. So this is just a summary of what happened this cycle. And I believe, because this wasn't fully realized when I first played it in early access on Epic, yeah, this will delete all of your shit and you just got to start again on a new world map. Alright, choose any map inside your embark range. Looks like there's a bonus going on over here. Extra food. But you can see here, if you do each of these, they will generate a reward of food, right? And then there's an effect as well. I think if we click on it, can we get an idea? Summary. There's the reward that you would get. Food. Additional effects. Raw woodlands are very lush and rich in timber. Trees give more wood, right? Severity for the seasonal severity is mild. Choose difficulty. The higher the risk, the greater the reward. Yeah, you won't... No, we're not going to do... We're not going to jack it up because we're going to get dumpstered. Oh wow, this is not going to let me out of this menu because I wanted to click around. You're finally ready to embark on your own. Remember that there is always a way out. Experiment and adapt. May the storm be gentle on your Viceroy. So yeah, it's one of those things, trying to establish a firm economy balanced against having to beat the clock. And it's cool. I think some people will rail against this. The people that want to turtle in the corner and build an empire over 10,000 hours and then play, you know, like Endgame Stellaris, where it's more of a color by numbers simulator. You're just too powerful to be even fucked with, and all you do is paint the map. That's some weird power trip thing. I don't like that. This game is great. It never gives you enough time to become the bully of the map. Just when you think you might have a grasp of it, the mission will end. Perfect. So what's going on here? Glades have increased chance of including fertile soil. Ooh. That's good for like farming and that. I think let's do there. I wonder, see how it's 2 squares away? What does that mean? I don't really know, but a lot of food reward, which is what we want. Cool. Caravans. So you got to choose your caravan. Do we want to go all lizard? Or do we want to have some beavers? And I guess you can change your food. I want some beavers because they're good woodcutters, right? And then we've got embark points, which I think you want to use them all up. And since I've got 3, and I've only got 3 embark bonuses, I will take all of these start bonuses. And as far as difficulty goes, we're going to go settler because, as I said, this game is tough. At least for me, and it might be that I never got around to having the other shoe drop, right? My brain might not have clicked on how to play this game efficiently. Additional effects, what's going on here? Fertile ground, 60%. Glades have an increased chance of including fertile soil. Glades are these little grayed out areas. They're almost like instances, dungeons. You think of them like that. Gift of the woodlands, more trees give more timber. Villagers eat less food because of the settler thing. And then we've got some bonuses depending on the season. We'll cover that as we go. Right, so as we said down here, this is good. If we fill the blue bar, we win. If the red bar fills, we lose. Pretty straightforward stuff. First thing I want to do is build a path around here because everyone has their own idiosyncratic anal way of playing the game. This is like your main town storage, not really much beyond that. This is your hearth. Dudes go here for like coffee breaks, and you have to basically just keep burning fuel non-stop. It takes many fuel inputs, and you can overcook it to get a bit of a bonus to characters' resolve. But yeah, this is sort of the heart of your colony. You can build more. Now, what else? We've got humans. Looks like we started with some humans. And we've got beavers. You can see there, that's how many you have. That's if they're free, and that's whether they're employed or not. Now, if you were to pull up, I don't know, let's pull up these guys. You can toggle it so you take it easy on them, which is a temporary debuff. A temporary buff, but it debuffs the other guys. Like, it's not something you can lean on. It has a net negative, but it'd be good for getting one species over the line if you need to. You can see all these little things here. If they've got housing, they'll be happier. If they've got lizard-specific housing, they'll be happier. They like jerky, skewers, you know, pie. It's going to be different for the beavers, right? The beavers prefer pickled goods and biscuits. Humans like, what's something that a human likes? Oh, pie, clothing. Looks like, well, I think everyone likes clothing. Oh, look at this. I don't think the lizards really give a fuck about clothes. Isn't that interesting, right? But humans like biscuits and jerky and that as well. So you can see there's some synergy, some crossed lanes, but also some individual stuff. Okay. Now, in our build menu, we have some default buildings. Woodcutter, stone cutter. So these are the basic harvesting buildings. But beyond that, we have farm fields, but we don't have a farmhouse. We have basic shelter and that's it. We've got some very basic starters, right? And then you go here, and this is where your sort of roguelike loot system comes in. It shuffles out 3 random options and offers them up. Do we want the herb garden, foragers camp? Honestly, I think the small farm's probably a smart move. Especially that we took that fertility bonus, we're going to find more farmable land. Farm's one of the few things that you can actually create a sort of renewable resource out of. We might actually just leave these choices here. There's no hurry. They can stay there and we can choose them later. Let's get rid of all this shit here and we'll unpause finally, at long last. Let the boys build the road. Now, you can see now we have the ability to build a farm here. Now, first things first, we're going to need a woodcutter. So I think we're going to go plonk that there. And we'll let the boys get building. Look at them all standing around, just having a good old time. Alright, now we're going to staff it. Now, if I were to put a human in there, no bonus. Same as a lizardman. And I know this just because I've played it. You put the beaver there, you get a sexy border. You mouse over it, he basically goes hard in the paint. So we're going to fill that up with beaver boys, right? And essentially, they will just autopilot and start chopping down trees that are nearest. What you can do is you can paint specific trees, like this. Say, I want you to cut them. You can unpaint them. There's a party trick where you can paint, and if you hold, I think it's Alt, you can paint them without opening glades, right? Because if they chop through into this, it will reveal the fog of war. And we might not necessarily want that because you can get negative events out of them, right? But to be perfectly honest, I'm not really that worried. I'm happy for these blokes to just chop away. It's not the most foolproof system because if I do this, you can see that the grayed out ones are like out of their range. Say they cut down all these gold ones, I think they will just start cutting into the glades. I'm pretty sure they will. So this isn't so much marking that as off limits, and more it's just prioritizing stuff that is closer. If that makes sense. Now what else can we do? We've got a few things in the glade that we can harvest. This is how I figure out what's worth in and what's not. Here we go, harvest. What was that? It was called the Harvester's Camp, right? You can see there. Can gather plant fiber and reeds. This must be plant fiber. No, flax field. Small. There you go. It gives you plant fiber, and there's also a chance to get clay or insects. All right? So we're going to build a harvesting camp here, and we'll get harvesting on that. Now, like I said, not exactly renewable. This will run out. It's only got 20 in it. That thing ticking over happens at the beginning of every season. And this is a meta upgrade for your entire colony. And they're quite powerful. You've got to pick, sensibly. All fuel recipes are 25% faster. Yeah. Gain 1 villager every time you discover a new glade. I would rather have that, thank you. So, pretty self-explanatory. When we crack one of these open, it'll give me an extra dude. Now, I think lizards like gathering. I can't recall. Whatever. We'll put 2 lizards in there because we've got so many of them. And again, they'll just go about their business harvesting plant fibre. You can see the impatience of the queen is already going up. Scavenger camp we could use to scavenge whatever that is, roots or something. So let's get working on that. Right, now, you might have realised we don't really have a method for increasing the blue bar to win. This is how you do it. Now, they're all time unlocked and staggered as well, you can see. So what you do is you pick on this, pick an order, and you get to choose from... This is so different. It used to be... I think you could see them straight away. But it shuffles up missions. Now, what's this one want? Build a farm, get some vegetables, get some grain. Okay, that's viable, especially like we said, there's more farmable land on this instance. What's this? A trading post and amber. If we get 5 amber and a trading post. Now, interesting, because I believe you can build a trading post by default. There, it's one of the things that you can build. So as much as the farm one seems cool, this one we can do right now. However, what are the rewards? We've got some biscuits. That's going to keep everyone happy, right? A group of two new villagers. Yeah? Perk. +1 to grain production. Gain additional grain every yield. That's tempting as well, isn't it? Honestly, I'm just going to take the trading post. We don't want to overthink it. I could pick these up as well, but I'd rather set us up for this mission first. Now, the trading post is a 3x3 building, so you're going to have to figure out... I still don't necessarily have a good idiosyncratic system for building in squares on this game. Perhaps we'll figure that out as we go. Might just, get the roads going. Yeah, I like the look of that. What do you mean I've got no amber? Hang on a sec. I assumed that I had some amber in my starting inventory. I probably assumed poorly. Alright. Let's start accruing some goods. What we want to really do is get our basic infrastructure up and running. Now, the trading post, the trader comes at a certain time. You can increase the dread on the map. We really don't want to do this, right? So we wait for the trader, and we trade them goods. And that's a good way to get amber. Amber is the meta currency, so you use that to buy upgrades, essentially, for your colony, like the ones that we were rolling on the well, I don't know what to call it, but the ones that we were rolling at the beginning of the season. Okay, what else do we need? Crude workstation and a makeshift post is probably the go. And this will be interesting. So these actually make the basic bitch resources that you need, but poorly. Those little red icons. Once they're built, we'll get into that. Everyone's just building roads at the moment. And I will get a pop-up warning us saying, hey, out of range, no more trees nearby. So the game is actually, got a pretty good sort of feedback fidelity for that sort of information. Just let them both build. And you can see now we've come out the other side of the storm thing, and we should probably pay attention to this. Cricket mating grounds. So we're in the drizzle right now. Clearing buzz with cricket sounds. Clearing's buzz. Gain 30 insects for each discovered glade. So cracking glades during the drizzle is probably smart. Heavy drops. +5 to spark dew production. Gain additional spark dew every yield. Now, I don't believe we start with the ability to harvest spark dew, but that might be a card that we want to keep an eye out for. Okay. So if we're going to crack these glades, we probably want to do it during the drizzle, or at least throttle my dudes during the storm. Now, here we go. Looming darkness. Rampaging storm stifles the spirit of all living creatures. An additional stack of this effect is added for each hostility level. You can see down here, that's the hostility level, I believe. Active only in the storm season. No contact. Forest mystery. Harsh weather conditions make it impossible to reach the citadel. Gaining reputation doesn't lower impatience. Active only in storm. Active from hostility 2. Okay. I'm not 100% sure what all that means. There's a lot to take on. Okay, cool. So we've got the makeshift post. Let's start with the crude workstation. So you want to make planks, you need to do it here. However, this is just the shit ramshackle building. And you can see their production costs more resources and time since this building's equipment is not intended for the task. So these are the sort of basics: fabric, bricks, planks, your tier 1 building supplies. This is how we can build them at the beginning, albeit at a penalty. So let's staff this up. Now, the problem that we're running into is now I don't have any free slots. Trading post amber. Yeah, I made a big mistake picking that. So we got to wait for the dude to bring us amber. So your focus needs to be on these missions. What we might do is we'll pick up another one, or at least we'll inspect, I suppose. Trappers. Have at least 6 lizards for 30 seconds. I can do that by accident, right? Problem solver. Solve any 2 glade events. All right, well, this is easy choice. And what do we got here? It'll give us a trapper's camp, which is pretty cool. Tanning racks. +1 to leather production. Gain additional leather every yield. Okay, cool, sure. Box of planks. Get some 3 villages. No, we want this. And honestly, we will complete this by accident. You can see we've already done it. So if I unpause... Oh no, I have to hold it down for 30 seconds, just in case your lizards run away or get killed, because glade events can kill them. Let's pick this. Oh, excuse me. I have a quick sip before I die. Okay, apologies for that. So what do we got here? A simple path doesn't cost any resources. It wants us to build 35 paths. I think we've probably done that by accident already. And what's this one? Sell trade goods worth at least 10 amber. I mean, we're probably going to do that. But again, we've accidentally done this. Now, what's this? Useful tools for creating drainage and ditches. Villagers move faster on roads. That is actually pretty cool. And then we get some stone. We could get some amber here. And we could use that to cash in the other mission. However, I think the advantage of moving fast is... Well, here's the other thing. We don't complete this mission. Don't get ahead of yourself, Scarlet. Let's do this one. All right, we can deliver it straight away. Cool. We get the perk. We get the stone. You can see that we've got blue favor. And we've gotten another card to draw from the pile. That's the other big main motivation of completing these missions. Okay. So how are we going to get amber? I think maybe we should intentionally crack some of the glades. Let's do that there. Let's let this clock tick on the lizards. We don't have any builders. Do we get more population from this mission? I can't remember. No, we don't. But we got the trapper camp, tanning racks perk, a bunch of insects, and we get a shitload of insects from cracking glades as well, right? Okay, I think for the moment we're all right. What I would really like to do is let's remove you, so these are sort of just ticking away in the background. The other thing you can do is place limits against these. And there's global limit system as well. How do I bring that up? The other thing also, see this here, they're making plant fiber from fabric. However, I could say make it from leather and make it from reed as well. Obviously planks, it has to be logs. But see here, we could use clay and stone to make bricks. Okay, they're worth relatively the same amount of value. Let's do that. Let's flag them both. And we can do something similar here. So we're using roots to make a pack of crops. And we've got 50 of them. We could use mushrooms as well, I suppose. I don't know. Let's go with it. Here you can see we're trying to use herbs to make, what is this? A pack of provisions. And these are just straight trading goods, I believe. Goods packed for delivery, used for fulfilling orders or trading, right? So that's all they exist for, is to trade at the trader or for these things up here, right? But they're worth more. It's like when you're playing an industry game, you know, you are rewarded for processing the wood into a bunch of tools and you get more money for the tools. It sort of involves the labor. So these are more cost effective. We've got a lot of eggs and insects, so we'll do that. We'll turn that off for the moment. And here we go, pack of building materials. We don't really have any of this stuff, but we'll keep it flagged for planks because we do have plank production going on here, right? The only other thing that I would potentially want to do is implement a world. Oh, I think we can get it from here. Orders, trading post, recipes, right? Show all. I think this is just showing what we're capable of producing. Yeah. All right. All. So let's say we put a global production limit against each. Can I like control click or shift click or? And what's this button? Save recipe limits. This will save your current global limits for future use. Oh. So what if I do this? And then I go load. Okay, cool. All right, well look, just to get the ball rolling, let's set everything to 10. Now, again, I don't know for sure if this is the way to do it, but this is how we're doing it, right? And if I were to click back on here, you can see that they have a global limit, but you can override individual buildings if need be. Okay, cool. So we managed to free up one lizard boy. And what we want to do is, I actually want to build some housing. And I think we might put it over here. There's a cool little pattern that you can do with the houses. Let's go with that for now. Oh my goodness. A bit of explaining, a bit of talking, but this is a first episode. It is an overview of what I hope to be a longer playthrough, and this will depend on reception. If you guys want to see more, you have to let me know. And we'll just keep chipping away. But I'm just explaining as we go because I have a background with this game. Okay, cool. So this is fertile ground, which is what we were hoping for. You can mouse over it and it will tell you what you've got, all right? We've got some mushrooms, bleeding tooth mushrooms, a fertile soil patch, and they're pretty self-explanatory. Use a herbalist camp to harvest these, right? And then you've got this, a small abandoned cache. So just real quickly, see how this has like a, we'll call it a skull, right? It's a dangerous glade. There's some real life-threatening shit in here. This is still an event, but not super dangerous. And you can see here what you need to do is apply either infused tools or tools to deal with this cache. And you can choose either to send them back to the Citadel, which will earn us Queen's Grace, earn us favor on the blue bar, and Amber, which is just sort of a generic reward. Or you can have a more specific reward if perhaps we want grain and clay for whatever reason, right? There's no point assigning any workers because I don't believe we have any tools. Though it is one of the rewards coming up. So this is just going to have to sit there idle for the moment while we chip away. what we could do is build fertile land on the farm field. Alright. And now we're starting to get a little fiddly because what we could do is chop there specifically. Another magic thing about a lot of these scavenge buildings is that you can just move them. Like so. And now all of a sudden, that's in range of the little woodcutters. Let's queue up another house in its stead. In fact, let's move this. I think does M move? Makes sense. We'll make a little district here. Now here as well, you can see the hostility of the forest. People grow more anxious. And this is their global resolve. I brushed over the things that help with resolve. You can see here, current resolve, target resolve. That's where it's trending towards, I believe. I don't think their resolve currently is a problem. Maybe if it drops to 0. But these little blue lines though, if it crosses the blue line, you will start earning this blue reward as a passive income. So you are super enticed to really keep your villagers happy, and arguably that's a big part of the core loop. If you can keep them dumb, fat and happy, you know, well fed and provisioned and all that sort of stuff, you could just accidentally earn your way to success. Because currently we're in front, so we don't have to stress too much, but this is also an unusual position to hold. It's early days. Being behind the red is how you're going to spend most of the time. Anyway, look, a lot of talking, a lot of explaining. I think I've got a grasp of it. I will just say, because again, I played a little bit of it off channel to come back up to speed before this release. I've been sitting on this copy for a little while. It is great talking out loud. I've talked about this before. From the sort of YouTube perspective, because I can unfuddle the madness in my mind and actually come up with a little bit of a plan. So this is good. I really enjoy playing it in this format, and I hope that you guys want to see more. Let me know, chuck a comment, that sort of thing, and again, we'll put it into rotation if it is well received. Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to sort of wrap up our first episode / overview. Team, thanks again for joining me. Might just leave it there for the time being, and I will catch you guys on the next one.